So that's for the month of July. And this past month, I was working with the CNIB, which is the Canadian Institute for the Blind, in conjunction with their Great Canadian Yoga Stretch Challenge. So they had, simultaneously as I was kind of contemplating the idea of doing 108 sun salutations for 108 days, they were germinating the concept of creating a challenge where people from all across Canada could set a stretch goal for themselves in relation to their yoga practice. And it could be from anything from doing their first yoga class, or working on a specific pose for the month and building up your stamina to hold the pose for a minute or two, or I'm trying to think of what other, couple of students wanted to do yoga for 30 minutes for 30 days. And I said, well, this kind of fits with what I'm doing anyways. and before I even had a chance to kind of investigate it for myself, one of the organizers whom I know through the yoga world approached me and asked me if I would represent the campaign in Montreal, because it was fitting perfectly with what I wanted to do anyways. So I helped them promote the campaign in Montreal and in Quebec for the month of May, for Vision Month. So we raised just over $2,000 for the CNIB, and yeah.
Congratulations! Thanks. That's really awesome. There's a line on your blog that I really love, and I'm hoping that you can talk a little bit about it. I'm letting go and allowing the universe to take care of me. Can you tell me what that means to you?
Well, sometimes I think I fall victim to the idea that I have to organize and plan everything, and I have to do so much in order to get a certain result. And I need to be on Facebook, and I need to be on my blog, and I need to be all over the place, and I need to be making posters and running around and plastering them everywhere in order to get people together, in order to have an impact or whatever. And there's many points in this campaign where I kind of said, well, you know, I have to just kind of step back a little bit and realize that why I'm doing this. I'm kind of in this process again, because I've gone through it and then I've gone back and then I've gone through it. So it's like, you know, I'm just going to focus on what it is that I am doing and just let the universal energy around me take care of the rest. And I think if my intention is clear and pure, I think that everything will just flow together, even though I'm not controlling like everything and making sure that, you know, there's this poster is there and that poster is there. And I mean, it's definitely the challenge in North America. We want to control everything. We feel like we need to be everywhere. We need to be online, tweeting and blogging and Facebooking all the time. And I definitely fall victim to that sometimes. And then I just go, okay, this is like, I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm losing focus, and I'm tired, and I don't even feel like getting to my sun salutations, and that's my purpose, is to do that. It's not necessarily to worry about the rest. So luckily now I've started collecting or amassing a group of people who've volunteered to help me do this. So, and that's kind of like happened serendipitously.
That's the universe.
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
So anyway, just to finish up this thought, I'm letting go and allowing the universe to take care of me is really kind of a mantra that I started using in my practice, so that I can really allow it to percolate inside my mind and, you know, enter my heart, so that I can learn to do exactly that. Sometimes I do that if I feel like stuck on something.
That's a good point. And what's been your biggest inspiration? Now, you started yoga when you were 14, and to me that seems like such a young age to start such a focused training. But what's inspired you? What's your background?
Well, my background is rather eclectic, as most people's are, I suppose. I grew up just outside of Montreal, and my parents are both phys ed teachers. That's how they make their living. And my mother in particular was very interested in spirituality, New Age spirituality, and in also human rights activism. She is a member of Amnesty International since before I was born. And I kind of grew up with the idea of, my mom's also a very creative person, so she made our upbringing very magical, my brother and I. You know, she would kind of infuse the concept of magic in almost everything we did, and so it was fun. It started out as games, you know, and I kind of became interested in you know, the concept of what's real magic. Okay, now I'm older and I can't, you know, okay, fairies are cool and all, but what's the real magic in things? And that's how she sort of started introducing me and bringing me to different talks about holistic healing. And I was young, I was like 6, 7, 8. I kind of grew up listening to all these people talking about energy and crystals and healing power and all this kind of stuff. And I became really fascinated by that from a very innocent perspective. Like I thought magic was cool. I mean, what kid doesn't think magic is cool? And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was also interested in that. And and then I kind of met my mentor when I was a little younger than 14, and she owned a health food store near my house. She had just opened it, and a few years later, she opened a yoga center above the health food store. And at that time, not very many people were doing yoga. This was like maybe 1995. And so I'd be working in the store. I was volunteering to help her out in exchange for learning about natural products and whatnot. And she would send me up to yoga classes regularly. And I didn't really know what yoga was, but it kind of was cool. It was kind of like gymnastics and dance. And actually my first teacher was Mark Darby, who is the owner of this lovely yoga studio. And he was teaching there with his wife Joanne. And I was one of his first students, and I was only 14, and I had no idea what was going on, and they were pretty disciplined because they had just come back from studying in India with their guru. And I don't think I really liked it at the beginning. I thought it was really hard and challenging. So for the first few years, I'd go, and then I'd kind of stop going, and then I'd go again, and then when I turned 18, I decided I was ready to move out away from Montreal and explore the world, and ended up on a deserted island in BC, as you do when you're trying to find yourself. And I ended up working at a church camp, having no connection with the church ever before. I ended up getting a job as the waterfront coordinator at this United Church camp on this island off the coast of North Vancouver. And in this camp was also the chaplain, who was not very religious per se, but she was a yoga teacher, and she also was very interested in holistic healing, and she was doing yoga with the kids, and I thought that was pretty cool. And since there was no electricity on the island and nowhere to go because there were no roads, and it was really like the camp was it, and so I started practicing with her sometimes 3 times a day, because there was nothing else to do, and it was just like, okay, well, let's try more yoga postures. And I kind of started absorbing, or really hungry for everything that she could teach me, just because I was curious and had no intention of ever teaching yoga. I just thought it was cool. And at the end of the summer, she said, well, why don't you teach a class? And I was like, well, I don't know how to teach a class. I don't know the first thing about teaching. So she says, well, give it a try. I'll be right here to help you. So I did, and I taught like 2 or 3 classes, and I was really nervous, and I didn't really think I wanted to do that. But at the same time, she asked me to do it, and I was very grateful for what she had taught me, so I was willing to kind of do anything to thank her.